Alright guys, what's up? So we're gonna be doing the episode 1 cut content, season 2 episode 1 cut content. This is the first time that I do like this whole like setup thing, like the webcam and then obviously like the video here. So let me know if it's good, right? If the webcam's too big, audio's good, alright? Let me know if everything's good, man. Just let me know, man. First time doing this, so we're gonna see what AniNews. Shout out to AniNews, man, providing us with pretty much cut content on every episode. Shout out AniNews, bro. We're gonna be reacting to every single cut content episode from ReZero after season 2, because season 1 isn't completed. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
ReZero has always been a well-adapted anime.
Yes,
perhaps one of
so
the
far.
best that I've ever covered on this channel. But that doesn't mean that there isn't more to be said about this story.
Here we go.
When it comes to light novel adaptations, there will always be details that don't make it into the anime. And if you're as big a fan of ReZero as I am, then I think you'd enjoy getting to see what those details are.
True. Yeah. The one thing about light novel adaptations that I know about is that since light novel adaptations, it normally gets skipped a lot, right? And it doesn't even matter like what genre it is. It's just like if it's a light novel, it's pretty much most likely to be skipped. And obviously it's not the same format as a manga, right? So, for example, there's a rom-com, right? Angel Next Door. The light novel has a lot of content, and in the anime, since it only had 12 episodes, they pretty much cut a lot of stuff out, a lot of character development, a lot of moments. So, again, it's just I think light novels in general have a hard time trying to compile everything in one just because of the format, right? Like the whole way that the light novel is, right? Like the whole it's obviously like a written work, and a manga is different with like the images and stuff.
So hopefully this cut content series can help us to learn more about the world and characters we've become so invested in. If you're new to the channel, this will be a weekly series where we go through every episode of ReZero season 2 as it airs and
he did this weekly. So I'm gonna go ahead and guess that the reason that season 1, because from what I saw, the season 1 cut content wasn't done because I think he was doing it as soon as season 2 aired, so he just started focusing on season 2 and he never went back to season 1, which is fair. So this is a weekly series, okay.
For what exactly didn't
back
make
then,
it to the anime from the novels. That way we can truly appreciate the full extent of Subaru's suffering. So, if you happen to like this type of ReZero content, then be sure to leave a like or comment so that I know to keep doing it weekly.
Bad, bro?
Now, let's begin. Episode 26, To Each Their Vows, covering the interludes of Volume 9 all the way to its final chapter.
Alright.
The first interlude was the starting point to the episode, the brief moment in the carriage. Subaru felt the need to tell Amelia about his situation with Rem. His feelings for her weren't quite the same as the ones he had for Amelia, but they were still special in their own unique way.
Yes.
You see, it was an undeniable fact that the Amelia sitting before him today wouldn't have been possible without her help. Rem's unwavering love and devotion mended Subaru's broken heart. It even renewed his will to fight. That's why there wasn't much to be found that could compare to his own personal feelings for her.
Yeah.
That much we already knew, though.
Yeah.
It's in the next interlude that we gain a bit more insight into how exactly Rem feels about Subaru, or at least how she thinks Subaru feels about him. While on the way back from the whale hunt, Rem and Kadush were having a conversation regarding the current situation.
Right.
Kadush wanted to know how Roswaal was preparing to deal with the threat of the witches cult. To her, someone like him surely would have anticipated some form of action to stem from Amelia's participation in the selection. Unfortunately, Rem didn't have any insight to give. Even if her and Kadush were now allies, Rem simply didn't understand Roswaal's method of thinking.
Nah. Roswaal's sus, bro. I don't give a fuck, dude. Yo, this motherfucker Roswaal. Dude, we have like no information on Roswaal. Like, that motherfucker is still a mystery, bro. Because we know he's like the strongest mage, but like, he's in the mansion. He's like the owner of the mansion and whatever. He's like the guy who's backing up Amelia in the election, but like, dude, bro is just a whole ass mystery. Some people in the comments are calling him a fraud, so there's that, but like, it's so weird, right? Is there subtitles for this? Italian. Okay, I don't want Italian subtitles. Because if there's subtitles, this could be easier. Italian? Why is there Italian? That's the only ones. Alright, it's fine. Should be good. Let's go.
Instead, she could only think of how Subaru was working to restore his name. how he was relentlessly venturing forward like the hero he is. This was the only way that Rem could envision Subaru. He was this shining light of a person, and every heroic action he did only made him shine brighter and brighter.
Legit.
The only thing Rem wanted was to be able to exist beside this light. If she was able to feel its warmth from time to time, then that was something that she was content with.
That's so sad though, right? It's sad that Rem's love will... It's just one-sided, right? In terms of the romantic aspect, right? The whole caring for each other, right? I think it's good. I think Subaru cares so much for Rem, right? It's just, sadly, for Rem, in terms of the romantic feelings, it just will never get returned the same way. So, but it's still nice that Subaru is still willing to let Rem be by his side, right? And just, you know, have each other's backs, man. I think that's awesome.
But just thinking about Subaru made her feel at ease yet anxious at the same time. Something about him just seemed to induce both a feeling of joy and distress. And that was the most vexing part about him. It was soon after this that the first carriage was attacked.
Right.
Something about the way the man on the road stood as if unconcerned with his surroundings made Rem begin to sense his unrelenting malice. Not a shred of mercy could be seen in this person. That's why Rem made the quick decision to save Klush and abandon the carriage. Yeah. Had she had a bit more time, then she would have tried to save the knights beside her as well.
Yeah, I mentioned it in the reaction video, bro. I mentioned it, I was like, yo, it's funny that Rem just saved Klush and everyone else just fucking blew the fuck up. Nah, it makes sense. Obviously, she can only save Klush. Apparently, Regulus is a really loved character, by the way. You guys really love him in the comments, so.
But that was something that she regretted being unable to do. After demanding to know who this seemingly average person was, Klush unleashed her one blow 100 felled sword technique.
Whoa.
This was her signature attack that combined both her wind magic and her blessing of wind reading to create an invisible blade.
Was this ever mentioned? 100 felled magic or whatever the hell? Was that ever mentioned? Invisible blade? I don't think so. Huh.
It's what she used to become the prominent Duchess she is today. Back during her first mission, Klush had protected the former Duke of Karsten by slaying demonic beasts with this attack. And just as we ourselves saw, it was even strong enough to cut through the white whale's hide and bring it crashing to the ground.
Right.
People would already be dead before even realizing that they'd been slashed by it.
Okay, no, we did see this. It's just I didn't know if I remember them mentioning like the name itself and like going in detail.
Yet somehow this strange man just stood there completely unscathed. Klush could only imagine what type of unknown phenomenon would be able to protect him from an attack of that caliber.
Okay, that's true. That attack from Klush was able to damage the white whale, right? And it's such a disgustingly strong attack. And Regulus he just tanked it. He just tanked that shit, bro. Like it was nothing. Like he just ate that shit for breakfast. That's scary, dude. How strong is Regulus, bro? That's the terrifying part. I mean, we saw a little bit of lie, but Regulus is still a mystery, bro.
While she stood there in shock, the man then went into a lengthy tirade over his personal rights.
Manga?
Just as Rem and Klush...
Was that manga? Was that manga or was that, no, that's not a line. That is manga. Yo, how's the ReZero manga, bro? Is that a thing? Is that actually a thing? Is the ReZero manga like actual thing? Like what?
Just as Rem and Klush had the right to choose to listen to what he was saying, he too had the right to speak to them. So for them to go ahead and interrupt him mid-sentence, well, that was practically the same thing as trying to take that right away from him.
Yo, there was a motherfucker in the comments, bro, that was like pretty much saying like, yo, these guys are such assholes, man, interrupting Regulus like that. Really, bro? I mean, I guess, man. Like he was yapping a lot, and then they just like interrupted him mid-sentence, and that's why he crashed out. He didn't really want to fight, I guess. That's why he fought, because they interrupted him. He got mad. Does that make sense? I guess. For Regulus, sure.
A right that he viewed as his own personal possession. And that was what seemed to bother him the most. It was an especially fitting reaction for the person that we later find out is the witch cult Archbishop of Greed.
Yep.
So, with a brief swing of his arms, a vortex of wind could be seen forming above him.
Ooh.
The world around this vortex then looked as if it was starting to break.
Oh.
It was only a mere instant later that Klush then found herself to be missing her left arm.
That's why her arm just went flying like that. Okay. Wow, okay, yeah.
It had been cleanly severed as if surgically removed.
Yeah.
A perfect cut that Rem couldn't help but admire.
Dude, I love how this man AniNews is using like it seems like the manga panels, right? Obviously you can't show the episode because it just, you know, it's more copyright, right? Like risk of copyright. So I actually love that he's like also visualizing with the manga. Right, this is a manga?
More than anything though, Rem now knew that she had to figure out a plan to get away. But something about this situation still felt off. She had remembered that they'd been traveling alongside numerous carriages filled with knights.
True.
Yet not a single one had stepped in to join the battle. That's when Rem looked behind her to see the bodies of those knights being kicked around by Gluttony.
Okay.
He was a young boy no more than 13 years of age who's...
He's 13?! Okay, first things first. I didn't really think was able to really see that, right? That's true. There are so many carriages, so many knights, right? Obviously, and there was not a single one that backed up Rem, or Krush, which means that literally they all just got fucked up by Gluttony. Oh, by this man lie. He's 13, bro. Oh, what the fuck, man? That's terrifying, bro.
Her body was now covered with dirt, grime, and blood.
Yeah.
Rem couldn't believe that she hadn't even been able
Look
to
at all
notice
the
the
bodies.
fight going on behind her. She was so caught up with greed that she didn't even realize the threat that was looming behind her the entire time. It's only after the two introduced themselves as archbishops of the witches' cult that Rem started to truly realize the dire situation she found herself in. Her current state rendered it impossible to take the two on in a fight. She had used whatever remaining mana she had to try and heal Krush, and going into demon mode didn't seem like it would make the situation any better. As she began to look around for options, she noticed that the Iron Fangs were no longer part of the group.
Right?
She figured their commander Hetero had retreated in order to bring back reinforcements, but she knew that by the time they'd arrive it would already be too late. So the only thing Rem could do was try to buy some time. She first wanted to know why they were being attacked. So she...
Yeah, what the fuck happened to the Iron Fang? Did I miss that? Like, what the fuck? Like, where was Mimi, Hetero? Like, damn, bro. If they really went back to get reinforcements, though, like, it's already cooked, bro.
Would already be too late. So the only thing Rem could do was try to buy some time.
Which makes sense.
She first wanted to know why they were being attacked. So she asked. For Gluttony, what he saw was an opportunity. A chance to experience the ultimate feast on those responsible for slaying the whale.
Oh boy.
Reason being that he knew their memories of love, hatred, chivalry, and now triumph would provide for a meal like none he's ever had.
Oh my
before.
god.
And that's exactly what it turned out to be. On the other hand, greed just happened to be there by coincidence. Unlike Gluttony, he wasn't in search of any form of satisfaction.
Okay, that makes sense. So it was just a coincidence that Regulus was there with Gluttony. Okay, that's crazy. This man Regulus, what a nice person, bro.
He already knew that no matter what he did, he would always live with a feeling of unfulfillment. So instead, he simply remains content with what little he can call his own. He does
what? So he can... So what? He... Run that back. So what? He struggles to feel satisfaction? What? Run that back. Run that back. Run that back.
Unlike Gluttony, he wasn't in search of any form of satisfaction.
Okay.
He already knew that no matter what he did, he would always live with a feeling of unfulfillment.
Why? Oh, greed. He's greedy. Okay, well that makes fucking sense. Duh.
So, instead, he simply remains content with what little he can call his own. He doesn't feel the need to seek out anything greater than what he can already hold with his own two hands. Now, regardless of what their reasons may be, a single truth remained. The two people who stood before her in this moment were none other than witch cultists.
Yep.
And this was a fact that she just couldn't ignore. So, as she prepared herself for what she knew was a losing fight, there was one constant image that remained in the back of her head.
Subaru!
Even up until her final moments, Rem could only think of Subaru.
That's so
It
sad.
eventually came to the point where Rem knew that things were about to end. And it was here that we were left with her final thoughts. One last wish made out to Subaru. She hoped that once he learned that she was gone, that it would at least send a ripple through his heart.
Oh no! That's so sad! What the fuck? Oh hell no. That shit would have broke me if that shit was in the fucking episode. Oh my fucking heart, man. Oh man, Rem's too good, bro. Fuck.
A significant line that goes to highlight Rem's current mindset. You see, Rem has always been made out to have low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And because of this, she personally feels that Subaru wouldn't be too affected by something like her death because he has Amelia. She doesn't yet understand how important she truly is to him. That's why in her final moments, she could only hope for Subaru to spare some of that love that he always seems to exclusively hold for Amelia.
Wow.
Now,
she never thought that they would like care, like Subaru would care if she like died or something, bro. Like, how low is her self-esteem? Like, I knew her self-esteem was pretty low, but man, to the point where you're saying like, oh, hopefully with my death I can send a ripple through your heart, right? It said right there. Oh, Jesus, man.
Her final moments, she could only hope for Subaru to spare some of that love that he always seems to exclusively hold for Amelia.
That's crazy.
Now, as we see her memories getting eaten away, there's an interesting few frames that highlight a story from an alternate timeline.
Alternate timeline, Sloth IF. Sloth IF, right? The Sloth What If, bro.
One where Subaru and Rem actually run away together after episode 18.
Yeah.
This is one of many different what if stories where Subaru takes a completely different...
That's so cool. I love the images here. Whoa. Dude, this is such a cool concept, man. The different fucking paths, bro. Like lust, right? Wrath, greed. Oh my god. That's so cool, man. That's such a cool concept of the show. The many paths that could be, right? What if Subaru, you know, didn't go down the path that he is now, man. I love that concept so much.
Different path. The thing about this one in particular is that it's been turned into an entire novel and actually has its own chapter in volume 9.
What? Actually? Wait, since when? Dude, okay, when I heard about the Sloth IF, I thought it was like some like little like project or like a little like, you know, written document or some shit. I don't know what I thought it was, like a 1 page or something. I didn't think it was like an entire like actual thing. Like what? An entire what now? Is it an entire novel?
Into an entire novel and
entire novel. The Truth of Zero. Look at them. Dude, what the actual fuck?
Actually has its own chapter in volume 9. A chapter that goes by the title of Fragments.
Okay.
Rem and Subaru. Now, I'm not gonna go through the entire thing as I do have something a bit more special planned for telling each of the what if stories.
Okay.
But what this specific chapter was meant to show was Rem's ideal fantasy. She and her husband Subaru happily live out in the western city-state of Karadagi.
Right.
In this moment, she finds herself sitting on a park bench with their baby daughter Spica cradled in her arms.
Spica Natsuki. Dude, what the fuck? This has his entire fucking lore. What the fuck?
Subaru is right by her side, sleepily resting his head on her shoulder. In the distance, she could see their son Rigel playing at the park.
Rigel.
Nothing was being said as there was nothing that needed to be said. The silence that came while being surrounded by those who were dearest to her was all she could ever want. 8 years had gone by since the two ran away together. The Subaru that sat next—
How many? Did you say 8 years? 8 years?
Years had gone by since the two ran to her was all she could ever want. 8 years had gone by since the two ran away together. The Subaru that sat next to her in this moment only existed because of what happened 8 years ago today.
That's crazy.
It was the anniversary of when Subaru submitted himself to fate and gave up on everything except for one single girl.
Wow.
It had also been 8 years since Rem last called Subaru by his name. Ever since they fled, Rem had made a conscious effort to only call him by darling or father, mainly to emphasize how they left their past lives behind. But because today was special, Rem decided to finally call him by his name, using it to lead into a question that was always on her mind. What she wanted to know was if Subaru regretted making the choice that he did. To know if he regretted running away, giving up, and ultimately choosing her.
Dude, that's crazy. So that pretty much means that because they ran away, everyone else has ultimately died, bro, right? Everyone fucking died? That's crazy, bro. They ran away, that means everyone probably died. That's funny, bro, because imagine like everyone's like, wait, where's Rem and Subaru, bro? We can't find them, they're gone.
It was clear that Rem had her doubts, but Subaru made sure to dispel as many as he could. He made it clear that Rem was the one and only person for him.
Wow.
Just as he promised 8 years ago, his life was hers and hers alone. Rem was overcome by happiness. But she couldn't help but worry that one day Subaru would leave. It had always been an irrational fear once they began their new journey together. They were all alone in this brand new land with nothing to cling to but each other. So Rem just felt that one day Subaru might disappear.
That's such a... What a beautiful story. What the fuck? This is a beautiful story, bro. Yo, I might have to watch this, bro. I might have to read this shit. What the fuck?
It was a feeling of constant fear that sat right next to her happiness. What Rem didn't realize was that Subaru harbored those exact same feelings as well. The two of them truly had personalities that matched the others perfectly.
Dude, both of them, what, they're both so perfect for each other? Stop, bro. That's just gonna hurt even more, bro. Knowing that Subaru will never be with Rem. They're so perfect for each other. Their personalities match. Are you dead ass, bro?
So, while Subaru constantly spoke the words that Rem needed to hear the most, it was in this moment that she was the happiest woman in the world.
Dang.
She would gaze on into the sunlight with her long blue hair fluttering in the wind. The choice to grow her hair that way was one that she made long ago in order to acknowledge a former rival. It made it so that the first image Subaru would think of when he imagines a girl with long hair would always be of the one that's most precious to him. All of that didn't really matter though, as Subaru always found that it was her smile that he loved the most anyway. Now, with all that said, the rest of the chapter then goes on to further develop Rem and Subaru's family.
Beautiful.
But in the end, all of this was nothing more than just a fantasy.
What?
Nothing more than fragments of memories from a girl who would never actually come to exist.
What? Wait, so this is... Wait. Does that mean that this entire thing, like this what if, was just a fantasy of Rem's? Like, it wasn't like an actual, like, what if, like, different timeline? You know what I mean? Did I get that right? Like, it's not like a different timeline per se. It's just something that Rem was thinking of, strategizing, and damn.
The chapter then goes on to further develop Rem and Subaru's family. But in the end, all of this was nothing more than just a fantasy.
Damn.
Nothing more than fragments of memories from a girl who would never actually come to exist.
Fragments of memories. Holy shit, dude. What the fuck, dude?
The next scene from the novel takes us straight to here. Rem had already been found and moved to Kadush's estate.
Yeah.
As Subaru was wallowing in his own despair, the first person to check up on him was none other than Kadush herself. Well,
really?
You know, the novel actually doesn't initially refer to her by her name because technically she isn't Kadush anymore. The person standing in front of Subaru could no longer be recognized as the person Kadush once was.
Huh.
She carried herself in a much more feminine and graceful demeanor. Although these were nice traits to see, they were the very things that pained Subaru the most. He found a distaste in seeing Kadush act in a way that was completely opposite of what he once knew. But he couldn't just let this new person see that. Subaru knew that he had to hide his true emotions behind a false smile. After their conversation in the hallway, the two would then head towards the office. As Subaru entered the room, he could feel an overwhelming sense of discomfort as all eyes locked on him.
Okay.
It's not like they blamed him for what happened though. It was more so just them blaming themselves.
Ooh,
Felix
alright.
was trying his best to act the same way that he always did. But it was clear to anyone that he was hiding a great deal of sadness behind a smile similar to Subaru's.
Yeah, no, definitely, Felix was, bro. Felix is pain, bro. Imagine, bro. Felix, that pain of pretty much the person that you are closest to, pretty much your best friend, the person that you are backing up, right, in the whole royal selection, pretty much the person you admire, like, that person is not herself anymore. Like, I could kind of like tell that Felix was acting a little like he was like putting on a mask.
There was a brief awkward silence before Wilhelm saw the need to lead the conversation.
Okay.
Typically, he wasn't the one responsible for such matters, but considering all that had happened to both sides, he felt it was fitting that he be the mediator. He began by recounting everything that happened with the whale and Sloth, then shifted over to the situation that befell Kadush and Rem. As Kadush explained her amnesia-like state, Wilhelm, hearing his former master refer to him in such an estranged manner, made his own face flinch ever so slightly.
Whoa.
It led Subaru to the conclusion that he was blaming himself far more than anyone else. As Kadush's retainer, it was his sole duty to protect her. But now, after having failed that mission, the only thing he could feel was regret.
Damn.
Felix then went on to shift the blame towards Amelia. It led to a conversation in which we learn a bit more about the witch cult's motivations. You see, Amelia wondered why it was she was being hunted. She wanted to know if it was because they hated half-demons. But hatred was far too light of a word for it. The witch cult was simply obsessed with exterminating every single half-elf they came across. Sure, that may only be a fraction of their reasoning, but the fact remained that they'd stop at nothing to remove Amelia from the picture.
Damn, really? I thought it had to do I thought it had to do with the whole, like, what's it called? Her being a vessel or something. I thought Petalgeese mentioned her being a vessel. Like, they wanted, like, the witch to take over Amelia or something. I thought that, did I misinterpret that? Was that like a wrong thought to have? I thought it was that. They just want to kill her? Really? I don't know.
As the feelings of guilt and remorse began to build inside Amelia, she then turned to Subaru to ask him a very pitiful question. She was about to ask if Subaru hated her as well.
Damn.
But before she could even finish asking, that's when Subaru chimed in to defend her.
Oh, that's a cool little, like, detail there. Obviously, we didn't see that. We just saw Subaru defend her, right? Amelia, in that moment, was thinking, like, she was, like, about to, like, ask Subaru if he hated her. That's so sad. What the hell?
The discussion then proceeded to the topic of Rem's condition. One of the key things to note about this Sleeping Beauty state is that the victims will neither hunger nor age. It's simply a continuous state of sleep for all eternity.
So, they will not hunger or age. Huh. Also, is this a spoiler? What the fuck is happening here? Yo! Where are they going? What? Wait, he's like carrying... What is happening here? What is happening here? Anyway. So, okay.
Hunger nor age. It's simply a continuous state of sleep for all eternity.
So, okay, so eternal is eternal sleep, pretty much. They don't hunger or age. Well, that's very convenient. They're not gonna die. That's cool.
Because of this, Felix suspected that Subaru would want to fight against the witch cult once more. And even if that wasn't the case, facing the witch cult again was an inevitable conflict that came with being part of Amelia's faction. That's why Felix wanted to end their alliance. There was a clear sense of powerlessness that could be seen tormenting him. The supposed best healer in the nation couldn't even protect the one who was closest to him.
That's the thing, right? The best healer in the nation, the greatest healer, can't heal the person that he cares for most. Ugh. Imagine how you felt after that, bro.
And it's for that reason that he now hated himself.
Yeah.
Despite everything that Felix was saying, the person that was now Kadush couldn't stand to walk the path of safety. She seemed very adamant on making her own choices, a trait that was highly characteristic of who Kadush once was.
Yeah, I mentioned that too. When she started popping off here, I was like, yo, that's Krush. That's the Krush we fucking know, man. Like, the way they zoomed in on her, the way she was speaking, I was like, okay, that's the Krush that we all know, bro.
She seemed very adamant on making her own choices.
Yeah.
A trait that was highly characteristic of who Kadush once was.
Legit.
When Subaru saw this, it made him wonder if perhaps the will and character of a person didn't lie in their memories, but instead somewhere else completely.
The will and character lies somewhere else, not in the memories. That would make sense. That would make sense, actually. Because, like, I don't know. I feel like Krush, even though she lost her memories, you can still see, like, her personality or, like, the way she is, right? The way she, like, goes about herself, even though it's different, right? She's like more feminine and like more like, obviously not like the Krush that we know, but I could definitely tell that it's that she's not like fully just like gone, right? Like zero. She still has some traits that make her Krush, like like some like things here and there that had nothing to do with the memories.
For just a brief moment, it was as if they were talking to the same Kadush as before.
Yeah.
Now, before this meeting was over, there was one last issue that needed to be covered. Someone who took part in the whale hunt, yet lost nothing from her faction, was nowhere to be seen participating in this final meeting. It was a person who would no doubt use this to her advantage.
Good question.
Anastasia. You see...
Good point. Where the fuck is Anastasia?
Up until now, Kadush was widely considered by the public to be the strongest selection candidate.
Okay.
But now that she wasn't who she was before, her position in the selection was already starting to change. There was no telling when Anastasia would decide to reveal Kadush's condition to the public, but until that time would come, Subaru and Amelia promised to keep it secret.
Huh.
It was after all was said and done that Subaru pulled Wilhelm aside to finally thank him for his service. The topic of conversation then quickly changed to something that I personally found to be quite important.
What?
Which is why I feel it's something that will eventually be covered. If not next episode, then sometime in the next few for sure. But in the off chance it doesn't, here's what that conversation entailed. Wilhelm looked to be carrying a stern demeanor the entire meeting.
Okay.
This only changed when Subaru seemed to know the exact words that he needed to hear. He tried to make Wilhelm feel less guilty for his failure as a retainer by reaffirming the importance of having avenged his wife. It was a sentence that finally made Wilhelm see Subaru as a true ally. Up until now, Subaru was merely an acquaintance that he had to work with.
Yeah.
He never actually saw Subaru as someone he could fully trust, let alone confide in. But Herr Subaru was showing a level of compassion and understanding that only a genuine person could.
Yeah.
So Wilhelm decided to share with him a secret from his past. He pulled his shoulder from his jacket to show that it was all bloodied behind a padding of bandages. At first glance, it looked like a simple wound that Felix would be able to heal no problem. But what it really was an untreatable wound inflicted by a blade that carried the blessing of the Grim Reaper.
Whoa! What? So what? That's unhealable. It's like a scar, like some sort of like he like got struck. What is that?
Felix would be able to heal no problem. But what it really was an untreatable wound inflicted by a blade that carried the blessing of the Grim Reaper.
A blade that carried to the blessing of the Grim Reaper? Something that Felix can't heal. Oh, what the fuck, dude?
Which meant that it was a wound that could never be healed.
Oh no.
Fortunately, it wasn't something that put his life at risk. But it was an injury that bore great significance. You see, this wasn't something he received while fighting the witch's cult or the whale. It was a strike received from a blade that he encountered long ago. What's interesting about the wound itself is that even if it does somehow close over time, it will undoubtedly open once again when he's closer in proximity to the one who inflicted it to him. If the one who carries the Grim Reaper's blessing and the one who gets cut by it are close to each other.
Who is that? The one who carries the Grim Reaper's blessing. Dude, there's so much to this fucking world, bro. Who the fuck? Yo, who is this motherfucker, man? Bro struck Will. So what? The more he gets closer, the more it'll open? What the fuck?
Then the wound will open up as if it was fresh. And that's exactly what happened to Wilhelm. But that's not even the most troubling part of this whole situation. What bothered Wilhelm the most was that the person who gave him this wound was none other than the previous sword saint, his former wife Theresia.
Oh! It was Theresia? Nah!
It was for this reason alone that Wilhelm was committed to not dissolving his alliance with Amelia.
What?
It wasn't because he viewed them as allies. At least not yet, anyway. He simply saw it as a necessary action if he was going to confront the witch's cult once more and uncover the truth about Theresia. That's why Wilhelm felt the need to apologize once he finally realized that Subaru was definitely on his side.
Dang.
Anyway, the final scene brings us to Subaru by Rem's bedside. In the anime, there were several red flags with the knife on the table.
Oh my god, yeah, you guys pointed that out in the comments, bro. Bro, there's so many fucking details with this fucking anime, bro. Subaru kept looking at the fucking knife. Like he wanted to like kill himself and keep trying, bro. Like, and then the more he looks at it or whatever, it becomes more like a tool of just returning by death rather than an actual weapon, which is fucking terrifying. What the hell?
This was actually in reference to when Subaru had previously tried to reset himself.
Yeah.
He did so right here next to Rem. He took the knife from the table and stabbed it right through his throat. But when he awoke at his checkpoint, it wasn't in the carriage like how we saw in the anime. His eyes opened to the exact same sight that he left with, a sleeping Rem.
What? So, he killed himself there, but that's the new checkpoint? Is that the new checkpoint? So that's the new checkpoint. So he came back there. Oh, hell no. Also, I love how the checkpoints are always like beds, bro. Like fucking Minecraft. What?
This was the first time that the checkpoint was exactly where he was before he reset. But even if it wasn't, even if he had gone all the way back to right after he beat the whale, Subaru would eventually come across a paradox that would make him realize it was impossible to save both Rem and Amelia.
Yeah.
He couldn't save one without sacrificing the other.
Pretty much.
That was the harsh truth that he had to accept. No matter how many times he could try, there would never be an outcome where both would be saved.
Dang.
That's when Amelia came in to help Subaru realize that he didn't have to go through this alone. One thing that Subaru failed to understand was that just because no one else remembered Rem didn't mean that he had to be the only one who was concerned for her.
Exactly.
He didn't have to be the only one working towards saving her.
Exactly. He thought that he keeps thinking that he's the only one who has to pretty much carry this burden, right, of the entire world, bro. Like this whole, especially like the whole Rem thing of everyone not remembering. Even if Amelia doesn't remember, she could still have Subaru's back, man. That's why I love Amelia. Like, that entire moment at the end of episode 1 was fucking beautiful.
That was something he only understood after Amelia showed she was willing to share that burden with him. It's what allowed him to be able to make his vow to bring Rem back. Bringing us to the end of the third arc of ReZero.
Dang.
So that was it for episode 1 of our new cut content series.
Okay.
As you can tell, it wasn't so much entire skipped scenes, but instead minor dialogue or interactions that help us appreciate the characters a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure that as the new arc begins, we'll eventually get to see more major things that need to be covered. So be sure to subscribe so that you can see those episodes on a weekly basis.
Oh man, there's I think that girl's name is Echidna, right? Yeah, I got spoiled. I'm not gonna lie. The other thing I got spoiled is like how she looks in her name, but that's pretty much it. But yeah, I wonder when Echidna is gonna appear.
Also, be sure to let me know what you thought of the level of detail in this episode. Hopefully I didn't regurgitate too much of what you already knew.
Honestly, not really. And if you did, it was necessary to get into the main points, bro. Nah, AniNews, yo man. First things first, bro. Amazing. And it wasn't even like anything crazy yet. It was just like, you know, inner dialogue or like little details. Now, this was technically the end of arc 3. Now that we're going into arc 4, the cut content might go crazy. Like the cut content not only will grow in how important it is, but the amount. So I am super excited to see how much more cut content there is for season 2. I absolutely loved it. I love this first episode, bro. AniNews, thank you, bro. You the go, man. And thank you guys for recommending me to, you know, to watch cut content and stuff, because this right here just gives so much more context. I love it, man. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe and leave a like down below if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next reaction, man. See you guys.